Okay, we're here. The long-awaited video is finally here. So I'm not gonna yap. I'm gonna get right to it. I kind of have an idea about how I want to go about this. Again, this is a request. I don't mind doing this, but it, there is certain issues I do have with Golden Sun. Like I like Golden Sun, like I do, but when it comes to lore, there's a couple things here and there that it kind of didn't really do so good. But we'll get to there when we get to there. So this will be about like 95% accurate for lore. I'll be adding a couple things here and there, just a touch of life fixes, in my honest opinion. That was what the person who requested it told me to do. Hey, do this, and I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll do it. So let's do it. So I'm gonna start with the outline first of how I want to do this. Then I'm gonna get right into the script. So I'm just gonna be a long ass video. I got plenty of time to do this. All right, without further ado, let's go. Okay, let's see. Okay, bullet points. How do I want to start this? Okay. This is just the outline for now. I'll eventually get into the script later. Give me a second. Let me just change the volume. So I'm not gonna yap. I actually need to focus on this. So I like to talk aloud, but I need to actually straight up focus on this. So don't mind like long periods of silence. I'm actually just like focusing here. This is just gonna be specifically for Golden Sun 1. I'm probably gonna, I guess I might as well do all of them, but that's gonna be fucking long. Ugh. Right now, I'm just drafting down some notes. I'm not even like doing outline stuff. I'm just gonna write stuff down and see how this goes. Sorry about that. So, what I have in mind is, hmm, he's silent pro tag, so we can actually do a lot of shit. I'm just thinking a lot right now. So, hmm, hmm. Okay. Jesus Christ, I hate this new keyboard. Okay, game flat. Jesus Christ. All right. Or all. Go. Yeah. Again, this section is just me just writing down notes for myself. Like I'm actually not even started with writing down stuff just so I have like the framework to actually go with this. because this is just off the top of my head. I have an idea about what I'm gonna do in regards to this retelling. This is gonna, like I said, it's gonna be about 96% lore accurate with some little nitty gritty shit that I'm gonna add in there, but we'll see. Jesus Christ. Now that I think about it, years later, like you really didn't. You were just honestly just were the white mage. Again, like this is the problem I have with silent protags because we really don't get interactions between like Isaac and her. Like she's a popular character, extremely popular character, very good character by the way, in regards to like gameplay style. But having like a silent protagonist, like you really miss out on the relationships. Like Isaac, Felix, Jenna, and Garrett have a relationship because they're childhood friends. But when it comes to like Isaac's interactions throughout the game, it's like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But sure, in the Lost Age, you finally get to hear him like speak, but he doesn't have a lot of dialogue. No, we'll fix it. I'm probably gonna need some alcohol for this. I'm an adult. Don't drink unless you're of age. Ooh, that's good stuff. Okay. But to be honest, he honestly feels like a character that was just along from a narrative perspective. She has, or obviously has, a share a relationship with Alex. But it's like, Mia, what else did you like do? Okay, whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge. Okay, I think that's good. Let's get to my own personal like issues. Not personal issues. We're just gonna reference things that I personally feel the game had problems with. Because as we know, you can't have opinions on YouTube or for some reason, or else people just come up with pickaxes and just want to kill you. So again, this is gonna be like as lore accurate can be. I'm gonna be fixing things like a lot of plot holes. Well, there's a couple plot holes. Certain issues that will be addressed, but I'm gonna write it down just for the sake of writing it down so I can reference it later. But I'm just gonna write my own personal thoughts. It's not gonna make it into the video. It's just me looking back at things that probably need to address later on. What the fuck? There's noise outside my room right now. Again, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not adding any my opinions in the video. It's just me looking back at things I feel like I should probably work around. All right, I can carry on. State. Okay. Not to say that this is a bad thing. The music is hype. Like, to be honest, again, this is just me just like being that guy. I feel like in the Lost Age, specifically at Prox, you saw like what's going on in the background. There was the void with lightning in the background. That just shows like, hey, the world is not in a good spot right now. And to be honest, I feel like there should have been more like visual cues that something is going on with the world and this is happening, but there really wasn't. You honestly I honestly feel like just the Mount Elf situation was like the only like key thing that happened besides Venus Lighthouse. Again, I'll touch base upon that when I get there. This keyboard's so much right. It's a good keyboard. It is like it's visually it's appealing. It's just the placement of certain keys just doesn't make sense. Like I want to add apostrophe, but I'm adding that. Jesus. There we go. This is subject to change. Just thinking right. I guarantee you I'm shooting myself in the foot with this, but we'll see what happens. Give me 1 second. Okay. Gotta love that show. mentioned before, Isaac not having dialogue and being the silent protagonist, it really it's not good for relationship building, but I can use him being a silent protagonist for my advantage, actually. As people know, based on my lore videos and other videos that I've done ever since I revived and I quote this channel, um, I specialize in the macabre, dark shit, just pretty much a pretty negative narrative tone. Like I specialize in despair, tragedy, and all that shit. That was my area of expertise in college. I have a master's in English. We got to write a lot of stories back then. But yeah, that's my area of expertise. So, oh, I have an idea. I definitely have an idea. Okay. I think I ruined hospitals for people after that. The hive lore. Like, I kind of went a little bit too nuts with that. I'm not gonna deny it. Okay. All right. Okay. So, I'm just using this game as a reference for now. Saying this, but I know this would be some issues. I got requested to do lore, and I'm doing lore. Putting that master's degree in English to work. There is always an issue when you're doing lore videos. Always an issue. So he becomes a mirror for the player and the audience. I can layer my tone, despair, hopelessness, grief onto him without restraint. Sort of. You know, might as well just put the challenges of this. You think keeping the side protagonist is a benefit? So here's the problem. So him being a silent protagonist has its pros and cons. Like, you yourself can put yourself in his shoes. Like, you're the player. Like, oh, Isaac is a reflection of me. But since he's a silent protagonist, you don't get his relationships with other people. Like, the only thing he says is yes, no. That's the only thing he can do. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So when it comes to like him specifically in the first game, he's a blank slate. Like, you don't really get a connection with him. You're technically him at the end of the day. So, that's it. Or Matthew swearing in DD. That was the thing. So yeah, it has its benefits, like its pros and cons, but I feel like him being a silent protagonist, it could have been done a little bit better. Like in Golden Sun 2, he does talk. He does talk. Like for example, I'll bring this up. So right now, Mia, the healer of the group, her relationships with the party and the overall journey would be a good point of focus. But how is her relationship with Isaac? They don't have any dialogue together. You can't frame relationships at all. Like the only relationships he technically has is with. Yeah, exactly. That's actually a good point. You brought that up. It's actually a very good point. So if you really think about it, the only relationships he technically has is with his childhood friends. Garrett's his best friend. Obviously, him and Jenna get together. Felix, too, has a relationship with Felix. He has a sense of urgency with Ivan, especially during the Carson Agashio fight. But when it comes to everybody else, it's like, okay. So the overall goal is trying to actually. I'm aiming for 90% accuracy. I'm going to preserve the lore. I'm going to make some quality of life changes, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, definitely him being a silent protagonist, it's hard. It's definitely hard. Okay, so where was I? So Isaac is a silent protagonist. This makes it interesting because he is a blank slate. Give me a second. He is a blank slate. Imperative freedom. Since he is silent, I can give him emotional weight and internal conflict without contradicting the dialogue. I can frame him as being burdened, traumatized, or even resentful. Feelings that aren't overly expressed in the game but are believable given the stakes. empathy vehicle. He becomes a mirror for the player and the audience. I can layer my tone to spare hopelessness, grief onto him without restraint. Because remember, just because he doesn't have dialogue in game, the mind is always available. And I'm familiar with modding Golden Sun, so I can actually add text boxes or do the whole mind read effect and just having one key as dialogue. Nothing too crazy. Like definitely not too crazy. Okay, where was it? All right, so what challenges will we have to this approach? Okay. Risks. Yeah, if I'm not careful, he can be a vessel without depth. I have to be very careful with this. Yeah, exactly. Oldest 2 Felix had this issue for me where it felt like Felix was more whatever guy during dialogue. Yeah, like stuff like that. Like you don't. If you really want to be cute about it, he's a completely different character from his dialogues in Golden Sun 1 to Golden Sun 2. It's like a weird 180. I'm gonna get into detail about Isaac's character as well soon, but yeah, like I definitely feel where you're coming from. All right, I'm not careful. He can become a vessel of death. All right. Okay. We can definitely avoid this. So this subtext. Everyone else said the thoughts and interactions. Felix was sort of just checked out most of the time. Exactly. Exactly. This is how I felt when I was playing the first game and the second game. Oh, now I know Matthew has a foul mouth. Again, you have pros and cons when it comes to silent protagonists, but definitely it just feels like they're just not there. Like I would love him having actual dialogue, both of them, but I mean it is what it is. Okay, so let's see subtext. What I can do is show his struggles decisions by decision making, also in other characters react. Dark Dawn did this. It's just they didn't do it right. Ooh, yeah. So we know what to do with this one. So also we can have other characters react, but Ivan, like Garrett, Ivan, and Mia project concern and doubts for his decision making. Crossbone Island. Remember how you can get to Crossbone Island early by doing that. Oh yeah, let's not pick the right people, let's pick the wrong people. What would you say would be your biggest retcon if there is no limits? Interesting. Give me a second to think about that. What would be my biggest retcon? Since this is primarily focused on Build Sun 1, what we can do... Oh, yeah. So if you remember correctly, when you're given the journey, you have the option to actually avoid the journey. So you can say yes, or you can say no, and just walk away until the game abruptly ends. We can capitalize on that. I would just have to... Yeah, I would have to actually just figure that out. Yeah. But that opens up some weird multiverse. Ooh, yeah. That does open up some weird shenanigans. So what happens if Isaac chooses not to go on his journey? Just flat out refuses to go on the journey. Yeah, so there'd be a lot of weird headcanon stuff happening there, to be honest, because you technically open up you open up a lot of can of worms up there, because just looking at it right now, Satoru and Minardi would go over to Mercury and Venus, light it up. Oh yeah, oh shit, that's a lot of what ifs, because we'll start at the beginning, because right now it's like, let's just say Isaac says no to going on the journey. He still technically has the Mars star, so they would have to come back to Vale and actually grab the Mars star from him. And they need the Shaman's Rod for Jupiter Lighthouse to... Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs there. I can definitely capitalize on this. It's gonna be... Oh yeah, spoilers. Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's gonna be a lore video. There's gonna be plentiful spoilers. It's just dealing with that separate, and I quote, timeline. There's a lot of possibilities you can do with that, which I think I might actually go with that route. Yeah, because Ivan would have to go. Honestly, I think Ivan would go to Oompa, try to save. Yeah, and the journey would pretty much be screwed. So yeah, there's a lot of potential in a weird, janky story there, because the world would pretty much end. Well, it'd be in more of a decline because they can't light the lighthouses. So Satoru's and Minardi's mission is pretty much null and void. Yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans we can get into that. I feel like that's what I'm gonna end up going with. Okay, nice. Yeah, there's a weird scenario that I'm thinking about right now. There is a few plot holes that I am gonna try to fix up, such as, for whatever reason, Satoru's getting nerfed by the Mercury Lighthouse. Fine, that makes sense. But him and Minardi getting buffed by Venus Lighthouse getting lit, and Isaac and Garrett not getting the buff, I'm like, yeah, that's some very funny shenanigans that you guys are trying to do there. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I probably am gonna go with the multiverse thing. Okay, okay. Also, we can have other characters react to him, like Garrett, Ivan, and me, a project concern. Or... Because again, one of Isaac's weakest points is the fact that we don't know his character in this first game. You briefly get to see how he is in the second game, and obviously in Dark Dawn, he's a completely different character. So we can definitely fix this approach. So narrative, narrative. And use narration and or visual cues. State of mind. Even if he never speaks. Yeah. Kind of what they did with, again, Dark Dawn, when they gave, I think it was Pewter. It's been a bit since I played Dark Dawn. But yeah, like, give them more depth. Besides getting introduced to Flint, that was it. You would think that Echo would probably say something with Felix, but no. Like, yeah, it's limitations. It was a Game Boy Advance game, but they pushed that game off. They pushed the game for the limits. I'm not going to deny that. I feel what I'm going to end up doing with the series right now is I'm going to do this lore video. I'm going to do something with 2. I'm going to attempt to fix 3. Well, Dark Dawn later on. That would be a fun project. First thing I do, don't make it about Savetta. The game literally didn't fail on cartridge. They pushed it, sure, yeah, of course. And we got good quality. I'm not good denying it. First game felt a little short, but I enjoyed every bit of it. Second game was very, very good. Very, very good. It's just the Eastern Sea was extremely lengthy. And as soon as you got to the Western Sea, it was like, there wasn't really much there. It was like, there's legitimately like 2 main areas you can go to. Whatever the town is called where you fight Delian, and I can't remember. Been a bit. And where you fight the chief and pals. But hey, it is what it is. Like I'm not complaining. I got good quality stuff. We fixed Dark Dawn by retconning the entire thing. It never happened. That wouldn't be the first time they did something like that in gaming. Look at Final Fantasy VII. Look at like any JRPG from the 90s. So like, it was just following the trends. So I'm not complaining at all. Dark Dawn definitely would be a funny project. Like I said, the first thing I do is not make it all about Savetta. She's your purest definition of a Mary Sue. Alright, okay, what was I? So use narration or visual cues to reflect his state of mind, even if he never speaks. Okay, so now let's kind of dig into Isaac's personality right now. I'm going off of Golden Sun 2. So the biggest gripe, again, the silent protagonist thing. Yeah, exactly. Again, the story could have been fleshed out a little bit better. Like I feel like it was rushed. Like I was fine with how the first game ended. It's just the second game's ending. I was like, wow, this definitely feels like it's half-assed. Okay, so right now, protagonist issue with Alchemy. And I haven't even got started with the framework for this. Holy shit! Well, oh man, this is gonna be long as fuck. This is fun. Okay, move Isaac. It's but yeah, like right now, my main goal is just pretty much trying to improve certain things about this. At the end of the day, I enjoyed my time playing Gold Sun 1 and 2. 3, not so much, but hey, it is what it is. I got some good quality stuff. Alright, let me take my glasses off. Alright, so up to the player to interpret his personality. Going off Golden Sun 2. Golden Sun 2. The role. Silent protagonist shifts to B-list. Given his dialogue, it's... Oh god, yeah, Jesus Christ. Good catch. This is what happens when I take my glasses off. Given his dialogue, he fits... strong. Friends. Women. Yeah, definitely that. Like he's really ready to throw hands. And obviously he mellows out in the third game. Like, yeah, I know. Like when I get to the actual script, it's I'll make the adjustments. But right now, since we're just doing framework, I'm not really too worried about the pronunciation, unless it's like super egregious. Okay. So carrying on with that, in typical shonen. Yes. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Because at the end of the day, I write these scripts so I can actually just read it out loud. So yeah, someone will point it out, and it's all good. These streams are pretty much used for validation and verification purposes. So if I make mistakes, I'm happy someone corrects me on my mistakes, because I'd rather not say information that's not factual. Okay. So typical shonen fashion. Mellows. So, which is true. He kinda did. It becomes sort of. I'm gonna get into that in a second. Yep, that scene was great. Yeah, it's good when they actually point out stuff. Scene in. Oh yeah, and being wary of otherworldly beings. I didn't like what they did with the wise one. So I We'll adjust the wise one. He pleaded. Yeah, that just felt so out of left field. Like, it really did. Like, he's actually pleading for the wise one for guidance in the Dark Dawn. I'm like, wait, what? Alright, cool. Hmm. Okay, let's see. Where... I'm thinking I'm going into plot holes now. I'm thinking off the top of my head. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have loved if they went into detail about like Isaac's journey in Golden Sun 2. Like, that's one of my biggest gripes. Really one of my biggest gripes. Okay. How do I want to word this? Yeah, like, I really am saddened that they never really touched base on it. Okay. Alright, let's see. How do I want to word this? Even though they could literally just take it at any given moment, but we won't even get into that. We're definitely not going to get into that. Believable. Yeah, yeah, like, there's a lot of. I'm gonna get into that. Like, I was thinking about that when I got requested to do this. Like, yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans with the Mars star I got to bring up. Or better yet, at the end of Golden Sun 2, when the Wise Ones get, yeah, I diverted some of that Mars energy into Isaac. Okay, cool. It never gets brought up. All right, cool beans. Exactly. That's one of the biggest plot holes they have in this like story. It's like, you, there's a significance between Isaac and the Mars star. There's definitely a significance there, but they never really touch upon it, and they just forget about it. Okay, so Taurus and Minardi complete their plan, even though they can just take it. This creates I'm just putting this in there just to put it in here. It's not really tense. It's conflict between both sides. They are together. Even though they really shouldn't be. Drives the narrative forward. Okay, so I'm just gonna put down some notes in regards to this because this is gonna be a big focal point. So essential stalemate mechanism. It's because the way I see it is, think about procs for a second. Every time you've lit in the lighthouse, besides Mercury Lighthouse, there's been some catastrophic like thing with the environment. Remember, the Venus Lighthouse caused earthquakes to happen, and remember, Prox is on the void right now. So maybe if they lit the lighthouse, their village would have gotten destroyed. Yeah, like from a narrative point of view, like it makes no sense. But I guess maybe because Mercury and Venus were in close vicinity to each other, and Jupiter Lighthouse was on the way home. Probably, maybe I'm just seeing it from that angle. You would think they would do it first, but who knows? Mercury was on the way. Venus was south. They would have to take boat to Jupiter again. No, yeah, they would have to take a boat to Jupiter, and then after they finished Jupiter, they would have to go to Prox. Yeah. Also, Paul. Yeah. Really figure out what I need to do with Alex once I get there. Stalemate mechanism. What would you think is one of the biggest plot holes this game has, in your opinion? Maybe. As Mia said it best, how did Alex never had the power to warp before? I'm not to say the same Alex to stay the same Alex. So how did you gain the ability to warp? Because no one else can warp in this game unless you have teleport. There's a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah, now that I think about it, like the biggest things are each game has something. Also, shout out to Shiba. Yeah, that was a thing. She was a thing, and it never got resolved. Symbol control is a bargaining chip. Okay. Oh. Oh. Look, the plot hole at the conclusion of both games Well, specifically Lilith 2. Lilith 2. Again, star Mars. Well, if you go off the first game, if you go off Mercury, Alex helped them get in. Venus, Felix. How the wait? Yeah. Well, oh yeah, they did. They got rid of that. Yeah. Wow. Good catch. Yeah, they actually did get rid of that because you needed a specific adept to actually get into the lighthouses. So because Mercury, it was blocked off because they needed a water adept. They got it in. Venus, they needed Felix. So Jupiter and Mars just wide open. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Like them needing Shiva, but she didn't know the synergy. Yeah. Retcons. You gotta love them. Has a relationship with the Mars star. Like I think I can actually capitalize. Where should I go about this? Yeah. But Shiva doesn't know it. Yeah, like this makes no sense as to why he would do this. And oh, hold on. Yeah, I gotta mention this. Why didn't someone intervene early? We'll fix that. 20 earlier. Let me run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. 1 second. All right. All right. Now, I'm gonna fix that. I have to address that. I definitely have to address that. I'm definitely gonna fix that. Because it makes no sense. Like, why would you put? Why would you risk everything like that? That makes no sense. I get it. Like, sure, you want to, and I quote, test him, but it makes no sense. Especially you at the conclusion of Golden Sun 2, I'm like, wow, that's just you being an ass. I would have to actually just play through that again and actually see that. But so if that's, just to quote you, if that's the case, what is stopping him from intervening? Like, why couldn't you intervene? Yep, it's the things you think about. It makes you stay up at night. Let's see. Okay, let me actually write this down. Exactly. Who is that guy? And I actually feel like I'm probably going to end up going with the multiverse angle. Yeah, like they really dropped the pooch with this. Now that I'm thinking about it, like there was a lot of stuff that they could have went with. Majority. Receiving. Receiving. Let's take a look. Not interfere with the actions of mankind. Why? Like, what is stopping you from doing that? And yet a miracle will appear to stop you guys. That sounds like you're interfering with mankind. That's honestly just such an ass pull. That really is such an ass pull. Yeah, like he really did. He did interfere. So like, and I remember it. Like, oh, even when I was a kid, I'm like, wait, you're saying you can't intervene, but a miracle will show up to stop you guys in the form of a three-headed dragon. I'm like, that's you intervening right there. And you intervening by diverting some of the energy to Isaac is like, dude, like you're definitely intervening right now. You're just picking and choosing when to intervene. I'm gonna count. I really am. Okay, I will hear you out. Expected. Oh shit! Wow, you just gave me an idea. You just definitely just gave me an idea. So, in a potential multiverse situation, what if there's a wise one that's intervening with the timelines? Because as we know, since Isaac decided not to go on a journey, a potential timeline got opened up. There's a timeline where, since that's the case, there's a timeline, the main timeline where Isaac and Felix succeed, alchemy is restored. There's a potential timeline where they fail, and there's a timeline where Isaac doesn't go on the journey at all. Yeah. And what if there's a wise one? What if there's a wise one that's actually doing, who's against everything, that's manipulating things in the background to fit his agenda? Holy shit! Wow, that's, you just opened up a big can of worms there. I am not an alcoholic. Okay, wow, this is very interesting. I think I might actually go that angle. It's good stuff. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. All right. So since I'm going with that angle, what if I do this? So since I basically established I'm gonna be working with Isaac's psyche, he doesn't need to talk. I think where it came from is the fact that it's an eye, but it's usually you have two eyes. So the two eyes of their world's God, for example, the initials being two is just a coincidence, though. Okay, so give me a second. I actually think about. I gotta think about this. Okay. I'm just gonna type whatever comes to mind, and I'll take a look. Not even gonna try to fix this. So what if we do this? We can do flashbacks that affects Isaac from different timelines. For example, him receiving visions from a version of himself that failed in his journey, or one that never took the journey, and the world went to ruins as a result. Ooh, okay. This okay. Okay. This so, use Star as a, ooh, oh yeah. This is gonna work. You can use the March Star as medium slash analyst to events that will transpire in the future. This can help amplify potential bond. Okay, I can work with that one. I can definitely work with that one. So what if we do this? We can do flashbacks that affect Isaac from different timelines. For example, him receiving visions from a version of himself that failed in his journey, or one that never took the journey, never went on the journey. And the world went to ruins as a result. This can affect Isaac's psyche. We can use the Mars star as a medium/catalyst to events that will transpire in the future. This can help amplify the potential bond. So the way I can see it is, let's just say, well, I'm going to be very cute about this. Yeah. So right now we have Isaac asleep. So what I can do is I have all the assets of the game, so I can probably, yeah, I can actually have him receiving images in grayscale to simulate that he's dreaming about it. So yeah, because technically Dora just woke him up. Yeah, this can work. This can definitely work. Yeah, this will probably work. Yep, this can probably definitely work. Okay, that's probably the angle that I'm gonna go with. So we'll just have him throughout his journey having random ass flashbacks or visions of events that will transpire in the future. He doesn't know what's going on. So what I can do is, for example, I can use his encounter with Karst Nagashio later on, him getting just destroyed by a rising dragon, and be nightmare sequences. There we go, nightmare sequences. Every time where he goes to sleep, something shows up. There we go, and it affects his psyche, or game overs. Oh man, yeah, that's great. Yeah, we'll go with it. This is gonna be a very funny video, and luckily I have all these assets, so I'm pretty familiar when it comes to sprite, doing custom sprites, so I can actually import the sprites into the game. So this will be very funny how this turns out. Yeah, he goes unconscious. Okay, actually, no. All right, I got this. Yeah. So what I can do for the initial first scene is have Isaac's downed image when he has his head down like this, put it in grayscale, have words show up on the screen saying something, and have him pass out from, yeah, have him to pass out sprite too. Yeah, there's a lot of weird, funny janky we can do. Yeah, we can do here. Interesting. So what we can do is flashbacks can be used. Flashbacks can be used to exclusively psyche. Flashbacks could be fragmented. This is a puzzle. They start unsettling. Yep, you gotta make them unsettling. There we go. It can also be used to foreshadow. But I would have to do some very high level modding to get this to work, because if I'm going to be showing Isaac receiving these events, things will probably have to change. Things would definitely have to change, because the how time traveling works, thanks to video game logic, is you can't necessarily affect the past, or else things might change. Like if you meet your past self, things might happen, or if you die in the past, your future self could die. So him receiving these events could potentially have him doing other stuff that will stop events from transpiring. But that opens up another rabbit hole. So, for example, let's just say that he potentially knows what's going to happen during the Carson Negatio fight and takes steps in order to avoid that outcome. So what happens there? Oh yeah, this is good. This is gonna be interesting and very complex, but I can get this to work. All right, time to brush off on sprite manipulation. Luckily, I made the text box just in case. Well, I still have it on my phone. Hold on, give me a second. Let's see. Because I had a feeling I'd probably have to do some weird stuff. So let's see. Will this show up? Yeah, there we go. I already have that done, so I set it import that. Okay. All right, we got this. We can definitely do this. Could be used to foreshadow events. So we already established that. I'll use the Carson Negatio fight as a reference, because that's a pivotal situation. I would just have to try to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with that. So I'll have to address this issue. So future visions, the visions could start seeping. Of course I go to that. To consciousness. During the moments. Maybe I can do this. The Mars Star starts. Mars Star's power be slowly these events. Seem I build this route, it's definitely gonna be teetering into psychological horror, I mean, which is fine. So I'll have to put this here. So Isaac. Being a silent protagonist doesn't have a emotional expression. That's what the character. He kind of does by the emotes, sort of. Using these flashbacks. Give a subtle. This will let the audience feel the weight. Let's see. Maybe withdrawn. I'm about to destroy this kid's entire mind. God. This is my job. This is what you went to school for. Tool. Beyond is understand. Holy crap. Okay. Alright. We've talked a lot about this. Now, let's put this into action. Save. Okay. I got a good idea. Now I actually have to view this. I'm actually going to go with this. Just gotta set this up. Okay, how do I want to go with this? Hmm. Okay. I'll start this up. I'll start up the script and we'll do a little bit of it. But unfortunately, it's getting kind of late. I get ready to go to work tomorrow. So we did good. We got started on the framework and outline. So now we just have to write an actual script. So I'll be using the game as reference, and we'll go. I need to start up a good intro. So we are going to be going with the multiverse thing we talked about earlier. But I guess I'm going to be ruining this kid's. I'm going to be ruining this kid's livelihood. And as usual, I specialize in depressing, drama, the macabre, all that dark shit. Thank you, school. Thank you, school. Let's see. Village nestled at the base of Mount Alpha. A young boy lay asleep, unaware that the wheel of fate had begun to turn. Okay, so as mentioned, we're gonna go with the whole psyche getting affected by visions. We gotta make this. I'm gonna make this dark as fuck. But I'm gonna shoot this. Now we're 42 minutes. Holy shit. Okay, as mentioned, we'll get this started, and tomorrow before I go to work, I'll keep on working on this. I'm doing this in another lore video congruently together, so I'll start this up tomorrow. I'll get back to that other video, then I'll get back to this. So this will take a little bit longer because I have to do some crazy jank and reverse modding, but this prologue video will be done by the weekend, maybe. Wishful thinking on my end. Okay, he dreamed. Familiar vision. I gotta be careful with the pacing here. Three. So as I was thinking earlier, the way I can do this, since I do have access to the sprites, I can just make this. I can have Isaac, well, adult Isaac, down, so his head's actually facing downwards. I'll put that image in grayscale, and I'll put like a little I'll put like a circle around him just to make it seem like he's like he has a spotlight on it, but in grayscale, just to showcase like a little nightmare sequence, or perhaps a warning. Sauce. Just. We just look like him. There's something outside the door. In a in a quiet village nestled at the base of Mount Elf, a young boy lay asleep, unaware that the wheel of fate had begun to turn. As he dreamed, a familiar vision returned to him, a memory, or perhaps a warning. He saw someone who looked just like him, someone who shared his name. No, it was him. Trapped within the vision, he could do nothing, only watch as the torment unfolded, powerless, helpless, haunted by echoes of a night that had already come to pass. I like it. Okay, that's... So, I have to try to... I said tormented, so how can I go about this? So I think we're gonna go with the angle of him just running away. You failed. I'm gonna have that show up from time to time. You failed. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. I'm gonna make this super dark. But it's a kid's I know. I know. I'm making this super dark. Jesus Christ. Alright. Let me read this real quick. My god. Once I get started, I really do get started. But... In a quiet village nestled at the base of Mount Elf, a young boy lay asleep, unaware that the wheel of fate had begun to turn. As he dreamed, a familiar vision returned to him, a memory, or perhaps a warning. He saw someone who looked just like him, someone who shared his name. No, it was him. Trapped within the vision, he could do nothing, only watch as the torrent unfolded. Powerless, helpless, haunted by echoes of a night that had already come to pass. You failed. Isaac, you didn't save anyone. You saw it, didn't you? The boulders, the creatures, the light. They begged you to help. You blinked. You... Jesus, oh my god. I'm gonna ruin this kid's life. You have to... When it comes to like stuff like this, when it comes to like divisions, especially in regards to psyche, it's better to be impactful than not at all. In my honest opinion. Especially when it comes to writing like narratives like this. You want to convey a certain type of emotion in the audience. And I feel this is going to help up the urgency a little bit. Because I wrote it earlier, like one of the biggest issues I had with this game is the fact that the sense of urgency is gone. Like up until you get to Mercury Lighthouse, you know, like you have to stop these guys. You have to stop what they're doing. Oh crap, they lit Mercury Lighthouse. Then the pacing and the urgency just goes downhill until you get to Venus. Like there's a lot of, it feels like after Mercury Lighthouse, there's like a lot of filler. I'm gonna fix that. But I need to make sure that the urgency stays consistent. Okay, you blinked. Um, you you stood there. Yep, you stood there. And what you do? You can run away. You can definitely run away. Oh shit! Oh my god! Yeah, I know what to do here. All right. So again, he's in a nightmare sequence. So what I can do is no, not just yeah. Okay. No, not just her. All of them. Oh my goodness. Holy shit. That's that's pretty dark. Grayscale really does help out. OCD. Um, I could show this. I'm gonna keep it just focused on Gold Sun 1. I could show the tsunami. No, he didn't. No, wait. The tsunami was an after effect because Venus Lighthouse got lit. But I need to keep this just for Golden Sun 1. Unfortunately, that would be good. That would be good to add just for visual flair, but that's fine. I'll just show. I'll show Mercury Lighthouse lit up, even though he couldn't have stopped it. They begged you to help. You blinked. You stood there and ran. They screamed her name. What was it? What was it again? Jenna? Jenna? There we go. Jenna? No, just her. No, just... Wait a minute. No, not just her. All of them. You let her fall. The world shook and you did nothing. You could have stopped it. Why didn't you stop it? When I'm doing the actual reading, I need to make sure this is fragmented. Need to make sure he's in there too. I'll say that in a second. I forgot how to say it as well. Okay. Wait a little. So I think this is a good part to have him wake up. Because Dora's gonna be waking him up. Like we don't need to go in that crazy detail. Like that this is dark enough. Whoops, sorry. This is dark enough. But I feel like you failed to see, fail to act, fail to choose. I need a sense to actually wrap this sequence up. Again, if you're not an adult, don't drink any alcohol. Give me one sec. Okay, I have an idea. So we'll wrap up this dream sequence with a cryptic sentence. I'll try to make it. This is not simply story. It's not simply a story told. It is a shadow that clings, shaping every step forward. For Isaac, yeah, I like that. All right. Let's read all this. In a quiet village nestled at the base of Mount Elf, a young boy lay asleep, unaware that the wheel of fate had begun to turn. As he dreamed, a familiar vision returned to him, a memory, or perhaps a warning. He saw someone who looked just like him, someone who shared his name. No, it was him. Trapped within the vision, he couldn't do nothing, only watch as the story unfolded, powerless, helpless, haunted by echoes of a night that had already come to pass. You failed, Isaac. You didn't save anyone. You saw it, didn't you? The boulders, the creatures, the light. They begged you to help. You blinked. You stood there and ran. They screamed your name. What was it again? No? No, not just her. All of them. You let her fall. The world shook and you did nothing. You could have stopped it. Why didn't you stop it? The wise one was watching, but he didn't do anything. Anything, did he? You failed. Failed to see. Failed to act. Failed to choose. The past is simply not a story told. It is a shadow that clings, shaping every step forward. And for Isaac, the weight of what was lost will haunt the path he must walk. All right. Good. I like it. So now we have to cue in Dora waking Isaac. How do I... We can transition. We have to transition into it actually perfectly. Before, or you could fully grasp visions, sudden urgency, open the silence. Jesus, oh my God! Go back to school, kiddo. Okay. I'm just trying to remember this. I'm gonna have Dora. I'm gonna have. The way I can go about this is once there's not dialogue in the screen, I can narrate what I write. But if there's in-game dialogue, I'll let the in-game dialogue speak for itself. So I'll be a third. I'll be a third party in this. I actually always wanted to use that sentence. Um. of gold. It always bothered me that, I can see you using catch just to get Felix out of the water. I'm a terrible person, but I always picture that. Yeah, I always picture that, like, hey, catch. Oh my god, like it's so silly. I'm gonna wake up with such a hangover tomorrow. She extended her. She extended her hand. Synergy. Tunic. Okay. Storm was brewing outside. Storm was brewing outside. Ah, it's been a bit. No, it landed in her hands, and then she gave it to him. I'm gonna totally board that later. Yes, I got everything that I need. Okay. I really do hate the new keyboard. Things are not in the place where they should be, so I'm trying to use their apostrophe, but I to reference that. That's kind of symbolic. No, let's make it a little bit more eerie. Before they left, the sudden gust surged through the cabin. On the table. It's very symbolic. Word, please. No. Let's add a little bit more emotion to the flame. Finished. Soft hiss. Sting shadows. Exchanged. I just made it a little bit more foreboding. Okay, let me read this and see how this sounds. The past is simply not a story told. It is a shadow that clings, shaping every step forward. And for Isaac, the weight of what was lost will haunt the path he must walk. Before he could fully grasp the vision's meaning, a sudden urgency broke through the silence. The mountain itself was stirring. Jesus Christ. The mountain itself was stirring, and the boulder perched high above threatened to crash down. The vision dissolved like a mist at dawn, replaced by a rising panic in his mother's voice. Dora's tone carried the kind of urgency that left no room for questioning. The Mount Elf boulder was moments from falling. Before they could leave, a sudden blue aura enveloped Dora. With practiced ease, she extended her hand, syringe flaring to life, as Isaac's tunic landed in her hands and she dressed Isaac. The storm was brewing outside, and it was better to be prepared than sorry. As they proceeded to leave, Isaac's father, Kyle, entered the cabin, pleading for them to hurry because the boulder could fall at any minute. Before they left, the sudden gust surged through the cabin like a whisper from something unseen. A candle on the table flickered, then died. The flame vanished with a soft hiss, casting shadows across the room. Dora and Isaac exchanged a glance. Neither spoke, but in that moment, something else changed. It's foreshadowing and it's foreboding at the same time. So we can allude to that. Well, we can somewhat reference that. And though Isaac didn't yet understand, the wind buried more than. Okay, with this next section, we have to reference the weather outside. So we're at night, it's raining, the wind's definitely howling, and lightning strikes. We have to be. The rain is the most notable thing. So rain. Sheets. Next, evacuate. Okay. He stated he needed to help others evacuate. Endora stubbornly. Okay, that's good. It's good. It's very good. Okay, so this is where the fun begins. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do two saves. One is just for lore purposes, and one is for glamour shots. I'm adding a little bit more emotional like response to this. Okay, that's good. All right, let's read this to see how this sounds. The door screaked. The door squeaked open, and the world outside greeted them with chaos. Rain fell in sheets, drenching the earth in moments, while thunder rumbled across the sky. The storm was raging and it was not stopping. Kyle soaked to the bone, but unshaken spoke briefly. The boulder would not be held back for long. He stated that he needed to help the others evacuate, and Dora stubbornly stated that she would also assist. She told Isaac to head down to the village to safety, head down to the village square. She told Isaac to head down to the village square to safety while they aided in evacuation efforts. Isaac's heart sank, but she turned to him with a gentle smile. He had to go alone. The village square was safer. He was old enough to do it on his own. He'd be fine. He swallowed the fear building in his chest and nodded. With a final farewell, they went north, and he would go south. How? Oh my god, I've been streaming this for like 2.5 hours. Holy shit. Wow. Okay. Jesus. I'm just adding this in there for fluff. Obviously, this did not happen, but I'm trying to add a little bit dramatic fluff into this. I'm gonna do a little build up for the boulder. Obviously, if you didn't do this, but I'm putting it in here just again for a little drama. getting fucking sleepy. Holy shit. The dust settled. It's so funny. Isaac's heart sank, but she turned with him with a gentle smile. He had to go alone. The village square was safer. He was old enough to do it on his own. He'd be fine. He swallowed the fear building in his chest and nodded. With a final farewell, they went north, and he would have to go south. As Isaac turned to head to the village square, something tugged at him. Not his mother's hand or his father's voice, but something deeper. A pull beneath the surface of thought, as if fate was attempting to halt his progression. Then came a roar. A sharp crack from above split the air, smaller than the one yet to come, but no less deadly. Hurled down the mountainside, he dove aside just in time. The stone slamming into the ground with great force that rattled his bones. When the dust settled, Isaac's heart sank. The path was gone. Wow. Okay. Well, the last theme came up. Okay. Again, I'm doing two save files just for one's for actual lore, and the second one's for actual. That's for glamour shots. Because every time I get to a new section, I'm gonna be doing, like, for example, soon as we get to Soul Sanctum, it's the front area, and the title card will show. What I'm gonna do is I'll do glamour shots around Soul Sanctum, just to do a little build up of where we have to go. Then we'll transition into yeah. Other games do it, newer JRPGs do it, but I feel like this would add a little bit more impact. Alright. 2 hours and 36 minutes. Holy. Okay. Unfortunately, I am getting kind of tired, so I'll wrap it up for tonight. So tomorrow, I have to continue working on the horror tension script. I'll do that for like an hour and some change, then I'll come back and do this. So, good shit. I will see people tomorrow.